Um, so summer vlog, and I have a quick thought I want us to explore. Okay, so I'm gonna give us a few minutes to think about some things from some of the resources that I feel like I'm going to share. So, what to say when you talk to yourself. Okay. I went over this a very small amount with our trip to Jacksonville, Florida. Um, so that's how this even came about. Okay, so the control center to help simplify the complex process of how and why the programming of the human brain affects us as much as it does. Let's take a quick imager. I like to call it imaginary, but it's imaginary. But I think it's really pronounced imaginary. Then I can say imaginary. But anyway, look into the brain's central control room. That is the part of the brain where commands are received and where all the orders are handed out. The part of the brain that makes us feel good, work hard, and get things done. Or when not so well directed, it makes us slow down, fear the outcome, and stop dead still in our tracks. Now, immediately, some things that come to mind is thinking about our brains and how we use it for certain directions. So, when I see that we can have, like here it says, that is the part of the brain where commands are received and where we are and where all the orders are handed out. The part of the brain that makes us feel good, work hard, and get things done. That is very interesting because you clearly see that somebody is working hard. Their hands are not empty. Their hands are steady. Their hands are like grandma's hands. Their hands are caked, brittle, callous. Their hands work hard as hell to get things done. And so often, how does it go unnoticed? How often does it go so ignored? How often, we, Jeff Bezos says it so well, we are so behind because we ignore the things that we should not be ignoring that we need to pay attention to. We ignore things that we should be paying attention to. That's why we fall behind every time. And it's so much harder to get caught back up once you fall behind. That's just what it is. That's just where reality is at. And that is an extremely sad sign to find that that's a part of your characteristic and that's a trait that you have harbored. First off, harboring things, and it's so sad that harbor has to do with water, how water erodes, and how water is such a powerful thing that sometimes we can kind of sort of take water for granted. People's like, oh, you got running water. Oh, every people don't have that. Okay, whoever said that I took anything that I had that works for granted. You see, I hate people put words in my mouth. People can really try to make you feel so stupid for the things that you have and less than for the blessings that you have. Like, oh, so and so don't even have that. What you gonna do with yours? I mean, it's the sickest thought that I have ever heard in my life. People can have moments where they're adamant about you not doing enough when you do the most. They're adamant. It's the same damn thing. Every time somebody says something to me about, oh yeah, you still live at home with your mom. Oh yeah, when you gonna go out? Oh yeah, everybody else living. Oh yeah, it's like it's a constant freaking battle. It's as though no matter how hard I work, at the end of the day, it's the same damn outcome. So eventually it gets to the point now where when you deal with the thoughts that you have in your mind, you get to that point where you just simply kind of sort of just, put the middle fingers up. And that's just what you do to remain your sanity. Because you know for a fact you working hard as hell. And the fact that you don't even give nobody that any kind of clout or compliment. Like you don't, matter of fact, you give nothing. I'm just gonna say you give nothing. You give absolutely nothing in return for the thoughts that are manifested in a clean environment. That's crazy as hell to me. When I think of that as a young woman, that says that you're not nobody that I ever am going to look up to. You're not going to be a person that I ever reach out to. I'm gonna sit up here and play these games with you, bro. You're gonna sit up here and find that you're gonna play these games alone by yourself. And who wants to do that at the end of the day? If you a person that's by yourself and you lonely, this is exactly why you don't give nobody the credit when credit is due, especially when you have the opportunity and moment to do so. You let it go right on by you. Opportunities taken for granted. So again, or when not so well directed. So let's think about when you have a ship and the person knows where they're going. Even with the Titanic, people said that before too. You were on there, but I guess you allowed yourself to take the eye off the things that you're supposed to have being done. That way you are able to have avoided that particular iceberg. So it's not a very well directed cruise ship. So they got in trouble and they were hurt and they ended up dying. And then it makes us slow down, and I hate to say that people who have retarded children, because I know this is going to be really difficult, really really hard to hear, and I'm hopefully don't get banned or I don't get in major trouble, you know what I mean. But that's how relatives become disloyal, and I didn't even know that disloyalty and having certain kind of cognitive decline can kind of sort of correlate, you know what I mean, like having those negative traits kind of sort of correlates to having offspring that kind of sort of does slow into the way that they are receptive of concepts, you know what I mean, if ever. And that is really sad, because sometimes when that is the case, you will see that maybe you will have moments where you're kind of sort of like, wow, my lifespan is extremely short. Like, I mean, back in the day before penicillin, like 1900s or whatever, 1900s or something like that, 1700s, 1600s, I can see the life expectancy being so low. Like, I get it. There's no roles, there's no work in plumbing, like nothing is really created because we're so far in our like trajectory from having everything already kind of sure that we need created in the place where it's just such a big gap still, and we have to work so hard to close it. And that's really sad, because when we are that far into things and we really want to kind of sort of enjoy whatever is going on, and we can't because we just got to wait for everything to get done, or because somebody is just, what I mean, not really able to because of their thought patterns and things it shows you some things. It makes us look at ourselves. It makes us feel like we don't want to slow down. You know what I mean? So when you have that moment, you're not happy, and it's very misaligned and undirected will, and that's not a good space to find yourself in. I don't care what no woman says. Nobody wants to be looked at as the kind of weirdo that is kind of sort of manifesting the weirdest of the weird. You know what I mean? Like, that's not it. Not positive. So maybe you have to watch what you say. Maybe you have been saying the wrong things to yourself as inward programming. I told y'all before that it's kind of sad to see if someone is saying to me that I gotta watch how, if I'm wanting to develop and get the things that I want, like if I'm practicing abstinence, bro, like, and I'm trying to save myself for whatever man that God has in store for whatever it is that I need or I got going on, then I can expect that you're gonna be doing the same thing. If I'm abstinent, so is you. If I'm trying to go hit on and please God, so is you. And that's what I believe my father meant by that. Our brand space's owner father has a point behind things that was said, and I get that. Now, if you flip it on the other hand and it's ill directed, then what are you saying? And I'm not the female to ever really want to dig up old stones, okay? So we gonna just throw it out there anyway. Thank God the video is wrapping up, because that ain't my type of tea. That's the grim. That's the grim, bro. Because if that's not what you're saying to your daughter, you know what I mean, then that poses the question, then what is being said? You feel what I mean? So if somebody is saying something and you're having a moment there and you're kind of sort of like, okay, if you always are just saying we're gonna have a shotgun wedding, you know what I mean? That's the only way anybody gonna ever want you. Oh, whoa, nigga, what's up, bro? Like, hold on, hold on. And I like to do it on water. Oh, because first off, how in the world is that even a thing? And now it poses a question that if you want to cut off the access to people, and this is why it's so crucial to do so, when you have to seriously limit the access, cut the access off, deny the access to people, especially from those entities, because they are the people who are bringing you harm. You see why you are right. You see, there's no disputing it. Can't nobody say nothing to you about it. And that is where the power lies. It is within, it's not without. So that's really where you see that slowness start to kind of sort of trickle in. And that's it. But we're going out here, bro, because I need a break.